Welcome to the show. I am MMA insider and Herb Dean's dog sitter, Joey Venti, and you're listening to the MMA History Podcast, the only podcast dedicated 100% to the preservation of mixed martial arts history. Interviews and stories about the early days of MMA direct from the men who lived it. Hundreds of interviews, thousands of hours of research, all conducted by the most obsessed mind in the business, the MMA detective Mike Davis. Join us as we document the history of the sport we all love. Welcome back to the MMA History Podcast. I am Joey Venti from Mike Davis, and today we're doing something very different. Something we thought long and hard about before ever hitting record. Today's guest is Jonathan Koppenhaver, known in the MMA world as War Machine, a man whose name is tied to both a turbulent fight career and extremely serious sentence for the brutal assault on adult film star Christy Mack and another individual. We want to be very clear up front. We do not condone, excuse, minimize, or justify his crimes in any way. Nothing in this episode is meant to glamorize violence outside of the cage or to reframe what happened. What he did was horrific, he knows that. And the cost of the victim was real and in some cases permanent. So why are we doing this interview? It's simple. Our show documents MMA history, all of it, the good and the bad. War Machine was a notable fighter during a chaotic era in the sport. He trained under big names, fought in the UFC and Bellator, and was part of the early explosion of the Ultimate Fighter era. His story intersects with a critical period in MMA development, and ignoring that history because of the darkness that came later would be dishonest from an archival perspective. Again, this conversation is not an endorsement of the man or his actions. It's an attempt to understand the fighter he once was, the environment he came up in, his rise, his fall, his life. We approach this with caution, with respect for the victims, and with the intention of keeping the focus on factual MMA history. You're going to hear about his early years in the gym, his time on The Ultimate Fighter, the raw talent he showed, the volatility that followed him, and the road that eventually led to his incarceration. Nothing will be glossed over. Nothing will be sugar-coated. With all that said, let's begin this historical interview with War Machine, not to celebrate him, but to document a complex, painful, and significant chapter in mixed martial arts history.
This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording.
Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hey, what's up, man?
Well, holy shit, is that a pain in the ass, dude?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that's why it's better if you put money on your account, then you don't gotta go through that prompting every time.
Yeah, I'll figure that out. All right, so let's talk about yourself and your beginnings in mixed martial arts. To be very direct with you, I watched your Vice documentary, and it seems like not only is there a lot missing, the time frame has been adjusted, and it seems like it's not a true telling of your career. Have you gotten any feedback in regards to the Vice documentary done on you?
I mean, I have. Vice. They first of all they lied to me to get me to even to talk to them. So I'm kind of upset with that company, man. They did me dirty, and but I know that my wife and one of my pastor friends, they watched it and they said it sucked. But, I don't know, man. I haven't seen it myself, but,
Okay.
I just think they set out to kind of do a smear job,
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about your beginnings. The first time I ever heard of you was the Lions Den tryout. Did you have any MMA training prior to this?
Well, yeah, when I was a kid, my dad and I, we used to watch the early UFCs, and then we started to like it. And then one day I was in a barbershop, and I seen in the back of a black belt magazine that they were selling the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu like instructional videos. So I ordered those, and me and my dad used to like kind of practice them on each other. But besides that, before the Lions Den, when I was in 8th grade and 9th grade, I trained with a guy named Jim Mullen, who was a professional kickboxer, and he actually fought in the UFC against Scott Ferozzo, and Scott Ferozzo beat him up. So I trained with Jim Mullen kickboxing, and we grappled and stuff. And one time Oleg Taktarov came to do seminar. There's actually a picture out there on the internet of me and Oleg. So I trained for a couple years with him, and then I wrestled in high school. But besides that, that was it.
So how do you get tied into the Lions Den tryout?
Well, what happened was I had left. I was at the Citadel, a military college. I left the Citadel, and I found out that this guy from my hometown, his name was Ben. I don't even remember his last name, but Ben, allegedly, I heard he had gone to the Lions Den tryouts and had made it. So Ben made the team. So when I ran into him in town, I asked him about it, and he said, yeah, man. So then, I was just kind of gung-ho and crazy. I packed my stuff, and I moved to San Diego all alone. And I had no friends there, no nothing. And I showed up to the Lions Den, and I met Tony Galindo, and he's like, well, the next tryout isn't for 6 months. And I said, all right. He's like, you got any friends here? I said, no. He's like, you have a job lined up? I said, no. He's like, so you just moved out here? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, what if you don't make it? And I was like, I'm going to make it. He's like, oh, is that right? So then, before the tryout, I kind of started training with Tony Galindo and this jiu-jitsu instructor named OD Neto out in San Diego. And I just trained with them until the tryout.
Okay, so do you start living with Tony Galindo shortly after this?
No, I never lived with him. At that time I just had an apartment by myself, so I was just living alone, and I got a job at a strip club as a bouncer, but I actually was only 20 years old. I used a fake ID to get the job, and I was just working and going to the gym and just waiting for the tryout to come, and I would train with Tony. At OD Neto's gym until it came about.
So there was a story about Vince Pichel, and you guys had an incident where he threw a brick at you. Is there truth to that?
Oh, that fool never threw a brick at me. You talking? Is Pichel the dude that he made it to the UFC?
Yeah, he's actually got a long tenure.
I don't even remember that dude from back in those days, but I recognize him now that he's from my hometown, and some of my friends know him. But in high school, there was a stupid little gang called DC Mob, and I couldn't stand them dudes. And me and my friends would always beat up those guys. So whenever we would find them, we would call them the mobbers. Whenever we would find the mobbers, we'd go to the party, we'd beat them all up. And I never got hit by a brick, so, I don't know what fairy tale he's telling, but that never happened.
So you two knew each other from high school, and that's just an old high school story. Okay.
I didn't know him. No, I didn't know him from high school. See, he was a part of that crew, but I don't remember him back then, but I recognize that now he was a part of them, but I don't really remember nothing about that dude in high school, so... But I never got hit by a brick, so I know that's not true. So I don't know what else you said, but that's not true.
Okay. What about Erik Del Fierro?
I'm pretty sure I remember getting hit by a brick. That'll probably leave a mark.
Erik Del Fierro. You guys lived with each other at one point. Am I correct?
Yeah, me and Ed Ratcliffe, we both rented a room from Ed. Or from Erik. Erik Del Fierro was part of the Lions. He was part of the Lions Den when I first got there. He was just kind of like a training partner.
He also managed you at one point, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, in the very beginning.
Okay. Tony Galindo. We did a kind of a tell-all interview with him. It came on the tail of Ken Shamrock putting out a tell-all book. Dude, Ken Shamrock, his Snowden book, has got crazy stories in it that, from his mouth. And Tony kind of backed some of those stories up. How would you describe your relationship with Tony Galindo?
I mean, Tony Galindo, when I first got to the Lions Den, I was what's called a young boy, and I was pretty much his slave. And, when I was a new guy, he used to kind of bully me. was kind of like a big brother figure where I kind of looked up to him for a while, and you know, we had a good relationship, but then, you know, we would get into it sometimes. You know, he's kind of Tony's a likable dude, but he's kind of like a little scam artist, so he's a little shady character. But, you know, we had our ups and downs back in those days.
What about Bob Shamrock? Did you ever have any interaction with him?
Nah, I never met Bob or Frank because Ken and Frank hated each other, and then Bob, I don't know where Bob was at that time, but the only person I ever met was Ken's real brother. I think his name was Robbie. Or
yeah,
Rob,
Robbie Kilpatrick.
Yeah. I met him, but I never met Frank or Bob.
Did you get along with Robbie?
I mean, I met him like like a couple hours, a couple of times. He was just a wild man. He was cool, but he was a wild man. But I didn't get to know him very well.
Okay. So Tony talks about he himself running to Mexico and back for various supplements for the Lions Den fighters. Did you ever experience that?
Yeah, I mean, that was our hustle. You know, we both used to buy steroids down there, and he kind of, I think, Tony kind of used me as a mule, you know, because I was like the young boy, so he kind of used me as the mule and a lot of that. But that was basically, he taught me how to do it, and then in exchange for teaching me how to do it, I would bring him his stuff across, and then I had my little side business of, selling steroids and stuff. But yeah, that was a normal thing.
To be honest with you, like every beginning fighter that's all in has a similar experience like that. Like, it's just kind of.
I mean, it's just because there's no money in it, especially when you're new. So I mean, all of us, I was robbing drug dealers. We're doing credit card fraud. I know Dean Lister and freaking Vernon White. They were strippers. We're just all doing all kinds of shady stuff just to pay the bills to get ourselves until we're good enough to make money fighting. That's just the way it is, the way it was back then.
Yeah, we didn't have a support system. You had to create the support system for yourself. That's the game.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's just how it was back then. And probably, okay. I'm sure it still is.
Okay, so your first fight on record is in Total Combat, February 29, 2004, against Angel Santibanez. Is that your first fight ever, or is there something missing from your record?
Well, I fought one time before that in Total Combat. I fought a guy from Canada, and it was 2 5-minute rounds, and they called it a draw, but I won the fight, and Ken was mad that they gave me a draw. He kind of yelled at Vernon because Vernon White was the ref, but it never made it to the record. I don't know why. It just was one of them early day Tijuana fights. But yeah, besides that, Angel was the first one that counts.
How would you describe those Total Combats back then? I mean, Erik Del Fierro, obviously your friend, he's a promoter.
Total Combat was the best. It was like the coolest. I mean, it was the coolest venue, man. Like in this club called Baby Rock, it was just like a little mini coliseum, and it was just like 3 levels high, and the ring was in the middle, and it was so much fun. And the only thing that came close to Total Combat in fun was, what was that other one that the Hitman Dan had, where the nightclub meets the fight club? What was that called? What was that show called?
Oh,
remember where they said where the nightclub meets the club? Yeah, WFA. Was that what it was? Yeah, WFA. Well,
that was.
I think that was. Yeah. WFA
John Lewis's.
was. Yeah, there you go. WFA was the only thing that was cool. WFA was really cool, especially when it was in Vegas. But it was just the most fun. It was a fun atmosphere, and it was a good place. I mean, me, Kendall Grove, Rude Boy Mandalones, Dominic Cruz, so many of us got our starts there. We all fought there.
Richard Dalton was on the card. That was one of your early training partners too, correct?
I don't recall no one named Richard Dalton.
You know, he was like an old school guy that was always at all the early events. I thought I saw you in his corner at some point. Cedric Marks was the main event. You know, he's doing a little bit of time in Texas right now, and
Cedric Marks fought Mike Seal, right? That was the main event. That was the main event. Yeah, I remember those guys. We used to train with Cedric once in a while because he lived I think in my apartment complex.
Do you see where he's at right now?
I heard he's in prison, right? He killed someone.
Yeah, he killed they think they for sure got him for 4 people, and because he moved around so much, they think there's actually another 2 to 3 that they're not investigating anymore because he's behind bars. So yeah, they think he's got about 7.
Yeah, he was in the Navy. He was like a kind of a square, you get those kind of black dudes that are kind of just squarish. He was just a square. He was nice. He had kids, and that's a trip to even hear that. But that's the way it is, man. There's sin that's evident, and there's sin that's...
You have 1 minute remaining.
Yeah, so it's crazy.
Yeah. You
want me to call you back so we can continue?
Dude, run it, bro. Fuck yeah, dude. I got time.
All right.
Okay.
Yo,
dude, I'm going to put the money on the books so you don't got to sit there and hang out on the phone. All right, let's talk about the Lions then. Okay, you hit a couple people. You had Vernon White, you had Pete Williams, Jerry Bolander. You some incredible talent. Who would you say that you got along with the best on the team?
Me and Toby Yamada became really close friends. There was a guy named Wade Shipp. Wade Shipp, I still talk to him to this day. But as far as the famous guys, the big names, Bolander and those guys, they weren't there in San Diego. And then Guy Mesger and Trey Telligman, Trevor Prangley, they all lived in Texas. So, me and Ken got really close. I live with them, so me and Ken got close. Me and Vernon were close. But I would say, we were all pretty close, man.
Okay, so your training partners, did you and Jerry Bolander weren't he wasn't there with you in the gym often?
I never even met Jerry Bolander, I don't think.
No shit.
Yeah,
wow.
when I got there was Pete Williams wasn't there. It was the only big name that was there was Vernon and Ken, and then Trevor Prangley, Trey Telligman, and Guy Mesger were in Dallas. I met them at the Tito fight, but those guys weren't around.
Wow. So your second fight is against Frank Duffy, and that's also a Total Combat. Were you kind of fast tracking it? You trying to get as many in as you could at that time, or what was your goal once you started fighting?
I wanted to start fighting. At that time, when I had my first fight, I was training in Las Vegas with Baroni at that time, but Baroni got mad at me for going to fight because he said he thought I wasn't ready to fight yet, and I just kind of snuck off and fight anyway. And then the second fight with Frank Duffy, Dewey Cooper was my kickboxing coach. He was in my corner. Me and Dewey were training together at that time, but I was in Vegas already training for all those fights. My Lions Den days were kind of like my early days, and I was just starting off, and I didn't even have any fights back then.
So when you met Baroni prior to your first fight?
I met Baroni. So me and Ken and his girlfriend Alicia, we drove to Vegas for the Tito fight all together, and I met Baroni at one of the after parties for the when Ken fought Tito. And so when I met Baroni, he gave me his phone number, and he says, "Hey man, well, if you ever come to Vegas, he's like, hit me up, we'll train." And so then, I kept his number, and then, one day I decided to move, and I hit him up, and we started training,
Okay. All right. So I didn't think that was accurate. Okay. So you started training with Phil. So you moved to Vegas shortly before your first fight, you're sneaking them in. You get Frank Duffy, and then your teammate Matt Hendricks fights Kendall Grove January 29, 2005 on Total Combat.
Well, see...
Am I correct? You were training partners with Matt Hendricks.
No, I was training partners with Kendall Grove. Me and Kendall Grove, Baroni, Kendall Grove, Mayhem Miller, we were all at Cobra Kai with Mark Lehman in Vegas. So Matt Hendricks became my training partner when I moved back to San Diego at Undisputed in like 2007. That's when I started training with Matt Hendricks. It was after.
Okay. Yeah, I saw an old social media post, and I thought it was the opposite. Okay, so Kendall Grove, let's talk about training with Mark Lehman. How would you describe that room?
Oh, dude. I mean, at that time, in 2004, I mean, Cobra Kai was the mecca, bro. Everyone was there. We had me, Baroni, Jason Miller, Jay Heron, Gray Maynard, freaking Rico Rodriguez was stopped by in there. Mark Coleman and Randleman were in there. Joe Stevenson was in there. I mean, that gym was crazy. That was the craziest gym to be at. It was the best place to be.
How would you describe Mark as a teacher?
Mark's good, dude. He's in the beginning, I don't think he liked me that much because he hated Ken, and I was like a Lions Den guy, so he didn't like me that much. But I think I won him over. But Mark's just super sharp. He's kind of a dork. He's like he's a nerd, bro. But he's just a goofball, and that dude's good, really good.
So after your second fight, you go Andrew Ramirez. That's July 30th. And then you wind up in the Gracie Fighting Championship, March 3rd, 2006, against Mike O'Donnell, who's pretty good.
Well, that was Team Hammerhouse versus Team Gracie. And
right.
Since Mark Coleman and Kevin Randleman were in Vegas with us all the time, I think Baroni got me that fight to represent Team Hammerhouse. And we went to Ohio.
So if you look at O'Donnell's record, his first fight's against Curtis Stout, and Stout is no punk. He's a UFC veteran, tough guy.
Sure.
He's also got Forrest Petz on his record. I was at his Forrest Petz fight. How would you describe Mike O'Donnell as an opponent?
I knew nothing about him. I knew nothing at all when I went to fight him. I just knew he was a black belt with Gracie, and at that time, bro, I sucked. I was garbage at that time, and he was not good. I mean, obviously, jiu-jitsu was good. I mean, he had awesome jiu-jitsu, and he tapped me out. But I mean, I've never even. If you watch that fight, I mean, he has no stand-up, no wrestling. I was kind of tossing him around, and I just kind of gassed out, and he finally got me in the armbar. But I thought he was just a jiu-jitsu guy that was just doing, MMA on the side. I didn't really think he was that great of a fighter. Like I said, I sucked back then. And they tricked us, bro. So they did a double weigh-in. Ohio has a rule in the commission that they weigh you in again the day of the fight, and you can't gain more than 10 pounds. So none of us Hammerhouse guys knew that. And all of the Gracie team knew that. So at the weigh-ins, they announced it, and all of us are tripping. We're like, what? Because I had cut 17 pounds myself. So tomorrow we're going to weigh you in again, and you can't gain more than 10 pounds. And all the Gracie guys were sitting there like smiling. They all knew, and we were all scared. So I was super dehydrated. We were all dehydrated for that fight because we couldn't properly hydrate because we had to weigh in again. So it affected me for sure. So
John Cooper was the promoter who was, I think he was a brown belt under Helson at the time. So you went into that with a Gracie affiliate who's in charge of that event.
Oh yeah. I mean, we were coming to lose. They brought us in and they tried to get us, but that's just the way it was.
Yeah, it's a game. RJ Gomez is your fight after that. Also again in Total Combat. That was September 9th, 2006. You've got heavy hands. Like, you can see in that O'Donnell fight and the Gomez fight, dude, you were throwing, like, straight heat every single time you threw a punch.
You know, I just, my stand-up wasn't very good in those days, so I had to just try to throw bombs, you know, because I just wasn't, you know, I was more of just a wrestler, jiu-jitsu guy at that time, and my hands were, I was just developing my stand-up, and I was still nervous. Like, you know, I was anxious on my feet, so I just, you know, I was nervous, so I would just, you know, I was fighting for my life in there, you know.
You know, Ray Elby fought Eric Apple on that card, and you were repeatedly asked to fight Eric Apple several times in your career.
Yeah, but Eric didn't. Eric was protecting him, and you know, Eric was a good kickboxer, and he had decent takedown defense. And I think Eric, you know, Eric's like he had a side, you know, he was doing TV stuff and he was making money. So I think Eric mostly just fought just to be cool, and I don't think he was really trying to have really hard fights. I think he was just trying to, you know, be cool and beat people up, you know. So for some reason, they would never let me fight him.
Yeah, you had asked for it. I know Erik Del Fierro, the promoter, had said that he believed that you weren't ready for the fight at that time.
I mean, Eric Apple. I mean, there was a wrestler kid that fought Eric Apple in Total Combat. I think his name was Henry Carrillo, and that dude was a straight wrestler with nothing. That dude took Eric Apple down and mounted him, and like was all over him, bro. I mean, I would have crushed Eric Apple. I mean, I just know I would have, but whatever the reason, they would never match us up. I don't know if Eric thought I wasn't ready or he was protecting. I don't know what, but I would have beat him. I mean, there's not a doubt in my mind. I think no, yeah, you know, it just, I just knew it wasn't a scary fight.
Okay. So you also tried out for The Ultimate Fighter Season 6. Initially, you didn't make it, but obviously later on you got on. What was the process like to get on the show?
Well, I was actually first on Season 1. So what happened was I was at the Green Valley Ranch at a movie theater, and I went to go use the restroom. And in the urinal next to me was Dana White. So I knew Dana through Ken and through Phil because he would watch us train. And he says, "Hey, War Machine," so like, "Are you going to audition for the show that's coming out?" And I said, "Nah." I said, "Everyone's going to audition for that. I'm not going to." He's like, "Nah, dude." He's like, "Listen, call Donna." I think that was the secretary's name. I forget. But he gave me her number. He's like, "Call my secretary. I'm going to get you in." So I went straight to the interviews, and I got selected. And then I remember me and Kendall Grover in Tijuana, and they call me, and they say, "Hey, we didn't know you were on probation." So I failed the background check because I was on probation, so I wasn't allowed to go. So then I got taken off Season 1 before it even was about to even get started. And then, you know, my teammate Joe Stevenson won Season 2, then Kendall won Season 3, and then I finally on Season 6 I won again, and they made me an alternate. And then, you know, the Armenian guy got hurt. But I mean, all it was interviews. I mean, there was no just you go, you talk to the producer guy and the producer girls, and it's all based off personality, you know. So Dana and them can get you through the door, but at the end of the day, the show makes the decision.
Okay, so you go through the tryout. When you're an alternate, are you sequestered, or are you just sitting at home hoping to get a phone call?
I mean, I'm just at home, and I'm kind of not even. I was kind of just pissed off, like, you know, that I got skipped over again, you know. And then all of a sudden, you know, I think Jamie and Andrea, they're two girls. They called me and said, "Hey, so are you ready to go?" I said, "Go where?" They're like, "You ready to come here today?" And I was like, "Oh, hell yeah," you know. And I packed my stuff and took off.
So Mac Danzig rolls with Roman Michian, breaks his arm, and in the very next episode, you're introduced to the house. At this point, you're no stranger to the law. How would you describe living in the Ultimate Fighter house?
Oh, it sucks. Yeah, the house sucks. The house is like jail. It's like worse than jail, because you got I mean, you got good food and you have a nice house, but you have no music, no books, no TV.
You have 1 minute remaining.
It was just like, it sucked. And then, I got bad anxiety and panic disorder, and my anxiety was going through the roof. It was a bad spot. I hated that house. What's up, man?
All right, cool. All right, so you get brought in late. Did you feel like the house was welcoming to you, or do you think they were pretty standoffish?
No, I had a bunch of George Soteropoulos was my friend, my training partner. Rude Boy is one of my best friends, Troy Mandalonas. And then me and Ben Saunders, we were supposed to fight back in the day, but it got called off because I got injured, and we were acquainted. So, it was like, oh, man, Rude Boy, Troy Mandalonas, that's one of my best friends. So it was like, oh, what's up? And then, me and George, we trained together. So, it was super cool.
How did you get along with Mac Danzig?
You know what? Mac Danzig is kind of a hard person to get along with initially, and then he's quiet and he's a little eccentric and different, and he's a little standoffish. But you know what? We started training together years later at Couture's gym, and we ended up getting along very well, and we enjoyed training together. So I'd say in the house it was standoffish, kind of weird, but then when we became teammates later on, years later, I liked him a lot, and I think we got along good. We used to enjoy training together.
Matt Serra and yourself had issues in the house. Do you think that was because of your relationship with Phil Baroni?
You know what? We didn't really have issues. I didn't think so. I mean, there was that one time. There was one. Matt Serra's from New York, so he says what he wants to say. He's a rough dude. So, Matt Serra's best man, Joey, was on our team. So Joey's like a dope black belt, and we're grappling, and I'm just trying to survive with this dude. And Matt's coaching Joey, that's his boy. So I kind of got frustrated, hey, bro, coach me. Why coach that dude? He has the advantage, and I was kind of, I think I was complaining under my breath or to somebody else. And then Matt heard and said, hey, what'd you say? Say it to my face. So then I was like, well, hey, bro, you're coaching this dude. He's your boy. He's a black belt. He has the advantage. Why don't you coach me? So we got in one argument. But besides that, I never felt any kind of animosity from Matt. And I liked him. I had a lot of respect for him. He was a good coach, man. That dude really knows his stuff.
So in one of the instances in the show, Mac Danzig orders bird feeders, and you would move them around the yard. Did you get the reaction you had hoped?
I don't even recall it, but vaguely. But Mac Danzig, like I said, he's eccentric, so he has a bad temper, and it's so easy to piss him off. So you just move his because he's a vegan, so he has his little section, so you can just move his stuff around, and he'll get fuming mad. So it was just kind of a harmless joke just to screw with him, just to piss him off. Cause that dude will get mad quick, and so it was just us having fun,
Right. Were you happy with the way you were portrayed on that show?
Was I what? Happy?
Happy with the way you were portrayed?
Yeah. That's the cool thing about the Ultimate Fighter is that they don't nothing's scripted. They as far as I'm concerned, everything they showed was accurate. So I mean, I have no problem with it. I wish I would have performed better at that time, but besides that, I thought they did a good job.
Yeah, Thomas Spear, that was he makes it. He winds up in the finals against Mac Danzig. You lose by decision to him. Your time at the house afterward, how would you describe your training?
It was good training. Like I said, Matt Serra was very knowledgeable, and then Big Ray, Longo, his striking coach was cool. Pete Sell was cool. I had a good time, man. There was a lot of good training, but it's not the same as when you're training for a fight in your own camp. It's different. It's not ideal to be training that way for a fight.
So after the Ultimate Fighter, who's managing you at this time?
Oh, dude, this crook, Matt Stansell. Matt Stansell, he ended up freaking robbing us of we had some deal with like some card company, Upper Deck or someone, and he lied and said they didn't get the money. He stole the money, and he was like, I don't know what was up with that guy, but he was managing us. It was part of like Erik Del Fierro, but it was like it wasn't Erik though. It was Matt Stansell and Jeff Clark, but Matt was I don't know, something was shady with that dude.
So he's managing. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I heard there were some issues with your management at this point. When do negotiations start with the UFC in regards to you coming on board as a fighter?
Well, I mean, as soon as the show ended, because me and J-Rock got into that little scuffle in the house, it was natural that everyone wanted us to fight. And then when we fought, we got voted top 100 best fights of all time. So I got a contract, and the contract was just because my fight was good at the against J-Rock. So that was just an instant thing. I got the contract, and then I had hired Matt Stansell and Jeff Clark to represent me, to get me sponsors and stuff, and that was that.
So Jared Rollins, you got fight of the night and knockout of the night. That was December 8, 2007 on a TUF finale. You said there was a lot of animosity going into that.
No, there was no. We were boys. That was the whole messed up thing about that fight, was that Richie Hightower, like that team, they hated Richie because Richie was a sarcastic little jerk, but he was our boy. So whenever I did the Upper Decker into their bathroom, and they got pissed, so I was in the room with Richie, and J-Rock kicked the door down, and they wanted to beat up Richie. But then I stood up and I said, no, it was me. I'm the one that did it. So then it put J-Rock in a predicament because we liked each other. So then, like, his anger got stifled, and he didn't know what to do because it was me, because he liked me. So he just smacked my hat off my head. And then, like, I'm not going to let that slide because I got my pride at the time, you know what I mean? And I tackled him and, threw him on the, rushed him onto the ground, and then that was it. But after the show, him and I hung out on the streets. That was my boy. So when we got the call that we had to fight, I was kind of, like, sad about it. Like, I was like, oh, no, I don't want to fight J-Rock. That's my boy, That's why if you watch the fight, after I win, I cry. And I cried because I felt like I took J-Rock's spot. I felt bad for J-Rock.
You also spoke out against Lloyd Irvin. Did you guys have? Do you remember that?
Yeah, Lloyd Irvin. When I fought his fighter in D.C. or out there on the East Coast, what was his name? Rashad Woods. After the fight, he wouldn't shake my hand. So then, I got offended, right? And I started talking smack on him everywhere I saw him, and it's actually kind of ironic, bro, because I feel like, I'm a Christian now, man, and I feel like I reaped what I sowed, and I felt like God brought that vengeance upon me for that, bro, because online there was an incident where a girl got raped, and Lloyd Irvin testified at the trial because he tried to rape her too, but he couldn't get an erection. So he didn't go to prison, but his friends did. So I was blasting him all over the line, like, yeah, you tried to rape the girl. You tried to rape the girl. And I was, talking smack on him, making a big scene. And then, as God would have it, in my crime, with my girlfriend, I get charged with a sexual assault for the same thing. For not being able to get hard, being over my own girl, right, after I beat her up. So it's just like, I see the sense of humor of God. I see the justice of God in that. Like, yeah, remember when you made fun of Lloyd Irvin? Well, yeah, now look at you. Now you're the one all over the place with the same kind of charge. So I regret that, man. I was wrong for that. But I extend my apology to Lloyd Irvin right now. If you ever were to hear this, I was wrong, and that's a real thing though. But I didn't like him, and I tried to make his life hell as much as I could.
Yeah. It's not an easy situation for anybody, you know, and receiving, giving, any of it. Like it's not good. It's not good for anybody. After your fight with Jared Rollins, they roll you into a May 24, 2008 fight with Yoshiyuki Yoshida, who is like a big submission guy. Was there any apprehension in regards to taking that fight?
Nah, I still to this day, like, I didn't get to fight him. I got caught with that choke so quick, and I know, like, my mistake was so simple because I dug my underhook and I got to my knees. And I know you don't stay on your knees. When you get up, and you fight hands. And for some reason, instead of getting up, I drove forward like trying to double him, and he got me with the anaconda. And it was just like such a dumb mistake that when he caught me with it, I was just like, oh, hell no, I'm not tapping, I'm going to sleep. Because I just knew I was screwed. But, man, I thought I was going to whoop that dude, man. And I wish I could have fought him again because I didn't get to fight. I got caught in that move, man. But, yeah, that sucked. That was embarrassing, man. Because, like, you know, I don't care if I win. I don't care if I lose. But I want to do my best. And when you lose early, you're robbed of that chance, and it just sucks, man. Like, it just sucks. It's just embarrassing, you know?
It's like a wasted training camp, too. Like, all the time you put in. Like,
yeah, no, then my friends and my teammates, my coaches, I just feel like a bum. It was horrible.
It was reported that you and Joe Silva had a real contentious relationship as well.
Well, what happened was that after that fight, they offered me another fight with Brandon Wolf, and I didn't know who Brandon Wolf was. I never heard that name. So I told Joe, I said, listen, I never heard of that dude. I just came off the Ultimate Fighter. I just got voted top 100 best fights of all time. I fought the Yoshiyuki dude without any problems. Like, give me someone with a name. I want to fight someone who people know who he is, bro, because I called Hawaii to my Hawaiian brothers, Kendall Grove and Rude Boy and them, and they're like, oh, that dude's a Navy SEAL. That dude's super good, super tough. So I'm like, well, why do I want to fight a tough fighter that no one knows? I said, listen, I don't care about a tough fight, but give me someone who people know so that way it's a win-win. I don't want to fight this dude, and what if I lose? Then it's good for him, but for me, who did I beat? I beat nobody. So Joe Silva got real pissed off that I challenged his authority or whatever, and he put me on the back burner, and Ben Saunders ended up fighting Brandon Wolf and whooped him. But, you know, so it was just a matter of, I said, if I'm going to have a tough fight, then give me someone with a name. I want to fight someone that people know, you know what I mean? And after that, you know, Joe and we had beef, and then I talked to Dana on the phone, and I was just, you know, I was harassing Joe Silva, and Dana called me. He's like, why are you terrorizing Joe Silva? You know, and I was just being a stupid idiot. You know, I was an idiot. That's just how I was. So I kind of shot myself in the foot, you know.
So, does it get resolved? Do you guys kind of like?
No, it doesn't get resolved. It never gets resolved. It never gets resolved because then I ended up I got fired from the UFC whenever Evan Tanner died because I still think
You have 1 minute remaining.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know what I mean? And you know, I kind of, Evan Tanner's mom was sad that the UFC didn't attend the funeral, didn't send no flowers, so I started blasting the UFC for not, you know, being a part of the funeral, and that's how I got fired. I made them look bad, and then they fired me, you know. And then I was with all that. You want me to call you back?
Yeah, please do.
You want to do
great.
All right.
Fuck yeah, run it, bro.
Yeah.
All right. So is this the last time you talked to Dana, or do you guys ever have another conversation?
I mean, I ran into him, you know, around town. Because I used to live in Vegas. You know, me and Christy seen him one time at the Bellagio or someone. You know, me and Dana were always cool. I mean, I knew Dana whenever Ken fought Tito back when he used to wear suits and he had a cul-de-sac haircut. You know, before he got all buff and cool. You know what I mean? I knew him before he got real famous when they just took over the UFC. And you know, me and Dana, we get along great. And we've always gotten along great. As you know, I just think, you know, at the end of the day, it's a company, and you can't be bad-mouthing your company that you work for without consequences. And, you know, I was too big for my britches, and I thought I had power. I thought I could talk smack and do this because I got, you know, fight of the night and all that stuff, and I was wrong, you know, and, you know, I got the consequences for it. But Dana's cool, man. Me and Dana, we get along.
Okay. So your first fight outside of the UFC is Desert Rage, November 3rd, 2008, against David Anderson.
Yeah.
What was it like? You know, what was the transition like away from the UFC?
You know, it sucks. It sucks. There's two sides to it, because, like, my first fight in Mexico, I remember looking up at the crowd and being in the ring and thinking, wow, I wonder what it would feel like to fight in the UFC one day. And as you pursue your dream, you think it's going to be this magical thing to get there and to do this. And it keeps you going. It makes you sacrifice. It makes you drive. And then when you get to the UFC, I'm like, whoa, this feels like Total Combat. It's like a letdown. And then you watch yourself on TV, and you're like, it doesn't feel real. It feels like somehow you copied and pasted yourself. It doesn't feel real. Like, you see Joe Rogan there, you see Buffer, and you see everything, and it just doesn't feel real. And it's a letdown, and it disappoints you in a way that you weren't prepared for. And then I remember when I was living with Dominic Cruz, he was my roommate, and I said, he just won the belt. And I said, Dom, well, what's it like to have the strap? And he's like, bro, it feels like Total Combat. You know, and it was just like, he's like, it feels like I just stole this belt, like it's not mine. You know, so I remember my sponsor was Travis Barker, for Famous Stars and Straps, and we're at a club in Hollywood, and he's sitting there bored drinking water. And I'm like, what's up, Trav? What's the matter? And he's like, I'm over this, bro. I just do this for you guys. And it's just, the dream disappoints you. So, you know, in one sense, like when you're outside the UFC now, you've already been there and you know it's fake. You know it can't fulfill you how you thought. But in another sense, now your pride's hurt because now you're not in the UFC and you want to be the cool guy. So, you know, it's kind of a double-edged sword like that.
You were also part of Vernon Tiger White's camp when he fought Jeremy Horn.
Yeah, I was there, and I cornered him when he fought Ian Freeman in the UFC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Vernon was
do you remember the training camps with Vernon?
Sure. The training camp I remember is one with Chuck. And I'll tell you what, dude, Vernon White is a waste of talent. And I like Vernon White. He's so talented and so good, but he's such a lazy bum. And so, like literally, he's going to fight Chuck Liddell in the UFC. And it's his big opportunity. And I'm telling you, he never came to the gym, dude. He went to the weightlifting gym, and he ran the treadmill and lifted weights. He never came to the training gym. He did not train for that fight. And then you watch him fight Chuck Liddell, and Chuck Liddell gasses out beating him up. And Vernon could have won that fight. If Vernon was in shape, he would have whooped Chuck. But he didn't train. He literally did not train one day for that fight. So it's like Vernon White is like such a talented dude. But I don't know, man. Maybe he's too talented, so he doesn't put the work in. Like BJ Penn is said to be the same way, where he's so talented, he doesn't work hard. I don't know, man, but Vernon White is so good, and he never lived up to his potential, you know?
Yeah, he was I think he's underappreciated. Like, I think he's incredibly talented. I mean, he's certainly somebody I would want to be in the gym with.
And he beat Jeremy Horn. He got robbed. He won that fight.
That's the crazy part when you think about that. Like, if you really put in, Jeremy Horn is like the GOAT in terms of locker room respect. Had Vernon put in like a legit training camp, like it would have been undeniable, and he would have had his hand.
Well, no, but I think for Jeremy, he trained though. He trained for Jeremy. He was in the gym for Jeremy for sure. But I'm saying, I think he won the fight. I think if you watch it, he won it. But Jeremy was Jeremy, and it's political. But he won. For sure I thought he won.
So you knock out David Anderson, and you go to the XMMA in Canada. Now, this is David Lusau is the figurehead for this. It's a biker-ran event that ran into some legal issues. What was your experience up with the XMMA in Canada?
Well, Baroni was going to fight. That was the main event. Baroni was going to fight that guy, the kid I fought, whatever his name was, the French kid.
Guillermo de Lorenzi.
Yeah, Guillermo de Lorenzi. So Baroni was going to fight him, and Baroni pulled out. So I took the fight on like 10 days' notice. So, I was training, but I wasn't in fight shape. So it was like 17 grand flat. So I was like, hell yeah, I'll fight him. So I took the fight, and me and Ken Pavia flew up there, and I landed in Canada, and I have a misdemeanor battery on my record, and they won't let me in. Because in Canada, a battery is a felony. But in America, there's felonies and misdemeanors. So they won't let you in with a felony. So we had to fight. We had to show them the poster, and I ended up paying like a few $100 to be paroled in, and basically they said, yeah, after the fight, get the F out of our country. And so I get there, and that was a cool show, man. That was a cool fight, cool show, and I don't remember no bikers. I'm sure it's probably the Hells Angels. They're big up there, but I don't remember seeing no biker dudes up there. But it was a cool show. It was a good fight.
So Ken Pavia, how would you describe your relationship with him?
That's my boy, man. I talked to him on the phone yesterday. Ken Pavia, first of all, was my agent, and he's one of the only people that has talked to me to this day, that sends me money, talks to me. Bro, no one talks to me, bro. There's like all my best friends abandoned me. There's a few handful of guys that still talk to me, and Ken Pavia is one of them, man. And so that's my boy right there.
That's good. So Phil Baroni, were you surprised when you heard about the situation that he's found himself in?
Of course not. Phil's my big brother. Phil named me War Machine. Phil's my boy. He came to my trial. He visited me. That's my brother. But Phil is a maniac. But what I will say about this murder he's involved in is that Phil, and you could ask anyone who knows him, he has the worst CTE of anyone that I've trained with. Phil will be we've been going to Couture's gym for like a decade. He'll be on the side of the road calling me, War Machine, how do I get to Couture's gym? And I'll be like, what? He'll be like, stop. So he'll go crazy on me, cussing me out. How do I get to And I said, bro, so I'm giving him directions to a gym we've gone to for 10 years, and we live 15 minutes away from the gym. He'll ask you the same question 3 times in an hour. So, and I bring that up to say that Phil's a maniac. Guaranteed he'll abuse a woman. Guaranteed, just like I would. He's a piece of crap. In that sense, like I am, like I was. But he would not kill her, bro. And I think that has to be attributed to the CTE. I think he started smacking her around, wires got crossed, he snaps out of it, and she's dead. So I feel bad for her and obviously her and the family, and Phil, because I know he wouldn't kill her. For what? Why was he going to kill her? You know what I mean? But his brain is so bad, I think something happened there, man. And it's unfortunate, but I love him, man. And the worst part about it, though, is this. Right after COVID, I called Phil. And I could tell he was up to something stupid. I said, Phil, listen to me right now, bro. I said, you need to repent and come to Jesus today. I said, I promise you, you don't want to be in a cell like me when it's too late and say, I should have listened to the machine. I said, whatever you're going on, dude, whatever you're doing, you're not going to be a UFC champ no more. Your career's done. Repent, come to Jesus, get your butt in church, and get a job. And that was like, bro, a year and a half, 2 years before this happened. And I wrote him a letter, and his ex-wife, Angela, read it to him, and she said he cried. He said, Machine was right. I should have listened to Machine. And that's the horrible part about the story, bro, is that I feel like the rich man and Lazarus in the Bible, Jesus tells the story, how the rich man's in hell, and he's saying, hey, go warn my brothers not to come to this place. And I feel the same way where I'm in prison, and I found the truth about Christ, and I'm reaching out to my friends out there, and no one wants to hear it. No one wants to listen to me. But prison is like a shadow of hell. It's a shadow of the judgment to come. Just like this is real, and there's consequences for your crimes, there's consequences for sin. And I wish Phil would have listened, man. And I hope he still does, because his soul is still redeemable, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I hope. I wish nothing but the best for everybody. Like, it's not an easy situation for anybody to be in. That's for sure. And, yeah, the reports I'm hearing in regards to his CTE and his mental capabilities, everything they're saying, yeah, no, I'm getting, I've heard it's legit. And there's, like, a lot of concern for him because of where he's at mentally.
Bro, he's 130 pounds, bro. 130 pounds right now. He's going to die over there, man. The guard has knocked out some of his teeth. Yeah. He's 130 pounds, 135 pounds. Phil Baroni's an inch shorter than me and way buffer than me. And I'm 200 pounds. That dude is never 135 pounds in his life since he's been probably, 12.
He's great. Yeah.
He's over there dying, man. That's a real thing. And I know what pisses me off is that Jay Haran and all these fighters that Phil helped back when they were nothing, and now they're famous and on movies, and they're all this stuff. He got them into the UFC. He got them out here, and that no one's by his side, dude. Everyone's abandoning Phil, but he helped them. Yeah, he's a piece of crap. But he's all a piece of crap. And no one's buying him. No one's sending him $1. No one's helping him. No one's talking to him. They just all cut him off, bro, and it makes me mad.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy for anybody. Not easy. So you get your win over at XMMA. And dude, you know, man, a guy that actually came across real well in the series about yourself was Julio Bazan, your teammate and roommate.
That was one of my best friends, but he don't talk to me. He won't talk to me no more. But that was one of my best friends, though. You know, it's sad, dude. Yeah, Julio is my boy. I love that dude. I love him. I love his wife. I pray for them all the time. He won't talk to me.
You have 1 minute remaining.
I get it. I embarrassed them. I did some bad stuff, but it hurts my feelings, man. That's my friend, and it hurts my feelings, you know.
Yeah, yeah. But it's something like this that can bring attention to it.
You want me to call you back again?
Fuck yeah, run this shit, dude. Fuck yeah.
All right, go.
Yeah. Okay, so you and Julio, you guys were best friends, not talking anymore. You were also calling him on the run while also using your Twitter account. You probably
I went to his house.
Place.
I went to his house on the run. I didn't just, bro. Listen. I was covered and headed to in blood, dude, and I drove straight to his house. It was like, I don't even know, 4:35 in the morning. I don't even know what time it was, 5 in the morning. And I'm knocking on the door, and him and his wife answer the door, and they're like, what happened to you? And I was just covered in blood. I was like, listen, I said, I caught some dude in our bed. You already know what time it is. It's all bad. I need to take a shower and change, and I'm out of here. And I showered, and I changed. I gave him a hug, and I took off, man. But, yeah.
Yeah, not easy. Not an easy thing. Timothy Woods, Ultimate Warrior Challenge, April 25th, 2009. You're kind of finding your groove on the independent grind. This is your third win in a row. You win by rear naked choke.
Was it? That's the Lloyd Irvin one right there.
Yep.
Hey, that guy was tough, dude. That dude, we fought at a catch weight. We fought at like 180 or something, 175, I forget. But that dude, bro, he rocked me, I think, with a knee to the face, bro. And Tito Ortiz was there ringside opposite my corner because Wade Shipp was in my corner, but I was far away. And Tito was there, like, he was coaching me on the other side because me and Tito, we got along ever since the Shamrock fight. But anyway, and after the fight, I'm backstage, and I told Wade, I said, Wade, bro, I can't believe I won a decision in his hometown. And he looked at me like I was crazy. He's like, what? I said, what? He goes, bro, you didn't win the decision. You choked him out. And I said, what? No, I didn't. He's like, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I'm okay. And Tito walks up. He's like, do not let him go to sleep tonight. And I was with Ken Pavia and Wade Shipp, and they're like, I had a bad concussion, dude. I didn't remember nothing. It was crazy.
All right, so you on June 11, 2009, you go back to Total Combat in obviously Mexico. Eric Montano is your opponent, and
that was in San Diego, but yeah.
Oh, wait, that was the first unified event in California. Was that it?
So Dana White was there watching because the main event was Eric Apple and Ray Elby, I think. But
okay. So
that was when the UFC was trying to decide who to buy, and the UFC was either going to buy the WEC, Total Combat, or another show. Obviously, they bought WEC, so he was there, watching. But yeah, that was in San Diego.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you rolled him out, and then the Extreme Fighting Championship, September 5th, 2009, Mikey Gomez.
Well, that was a cool fight. That was in Florida, yeah. That was a good fight.
Yeah. Ken Pavlich says that he built you. He said in an interview that he built you. I read Ken Pavlich. Maybe somebody kind of flipped it.
Nah, it's Pavia. It's Pavia. Ken Pavia is my agent.
I tell you what, he's doing a good job. If these are the matches that you're getting right now, he's doing a real good job.
Yeah, those were all Ken's matches, all those post-UFC ones.
Okay. David Mitchell is a super tough opponent. He's 7-0 at the time. That fight pisses me off so bad because that was 6 fights in a row, I think. And I wasn't training, and I was taking I wanted a time off. I fought 5 times in a row. And Pavi is listen, dude, this guy's undefeated. Watch a video. He's trash. He's you can beat him with $10,000. So I was let me watch a video. And I was this dude pulls guard, bro. I'll kill this guy, right? So I'm partying, drinking, acting a fool, out of shape, and I go there, bro. And if you watch the fight, I demolished him. Out of shape, I demolished him. I knocked him down twice. I took him down every time. I was on top the whole time. He did nothing to me. And I lose a split decision. And even David Mitchell looks at me and he goes, hey, bro, I don't know what fight they were watching, but you won that fight. I was it is what it is, bro. But that was, I got robbed big time with that fight. You also trained with Baret Yoshida.
That's my coach. I got his name tattooed on me. I got product of Baret Yoshida tattooed on me. That's my boy. Baret's my boy.
Where did you guys meet?
At Undisputed. Well, when I started training at Undisputed in 2007, I didn't know who he was. I became my coach, and he got me through all my UFC fights and all the fights up till I caught this arrest. He was I cornered him in Japan. I went to Japan with him and trained with Aoki and Imanari and Baret Yoshida. That's my coach. That's the person who built me jiu-jitsu wise. That's my jiu-jitsu coach. That's my boy.
Vinny Magalhaes was also a guy that you worked out with.
I trained with him at Couture's. He's that dude's good, bro. That dude's one of the best people I've ever touched. He's a big, strong guy, too, but that dude's good. I like Vinny.
So you were, in 2009, you were training with him, and at the same time, you were also training with Junie Browning.
Oh, yeah, Junie's a nutbag. I like Junie. Junie, he cornered me. Yeah, he was Junie Browning was my little mini-me. He was kind of copying me in a lot of ways, but he's a psycho like me. So we got along, dude. He actually cornered me in that fight in Florida, And me and Junie, I liked him, but he kind of screwed me over with some broad. But that's old news. I don't care. But Junie I liked him, bro. He's a maniac. I like him though. He's crazy.
Did you ever train with Shawn Tompkins?
Yeah, Coach Tompkins before he died. That was our striking coach at Couture's. Mm-hmm. Bro, and then when I caught my case, our jiu-jitsu coach Rob Follis killed himself from the same gym. Robert Follis.
Yeah, what was your experience like with Robert Follis?
We got you know what? I think when I first came to Couture's, he was apprehensive about me because I had a bad reputation. But he ended up liking me a lot, and I ended up liking him a lot. I liked him, man. I liked him. He liked me. I liked him. He's
a guy that's been in a lot of different locker rooms. And what about your relationship with Shawn Tompkins?
We were cool, man. Tompkins was cool. We got along, man. He was Tompkins. It was a wild man. That dude was a maniac. He's a wild man for sure. But it's sad, man. It's sad that he overdosed or whatever. But I mean, he was a likable dude.
Yeah. No, for sure. I always liked Shawn Tompkins as well. I got a ton of respect for him. So Zach Light is your next opponent, May 16, 2010, over on Bama. Zach is 6-9, but he's also the future Bellator matchmaker.
Yeah. Zach is just a really good wrestler, and that's kind of it, but he's just a tough journeyman, but yeah.
You also, you're on a crazy roll right now, with the exception of the split decision with Danny Mitchell, and you take a really hard fight against John Alessio, one of the 3 Canadian 50 Fight Club members, Tachi Palace, July 9th, 2010.
Well, so John Alessio and I were friends, first of all. He's a training partner of mine.
Yeah.
We're training partners, so he's good, bro. I mean, he's a little bit better than me, but we're competitive. And I was about to go to jail for a year. And at the time, I was married to my ex-wife. And basically, I needed money to leave with her when I went to jail. So I took that fight on a week notice, out of shape. I didn't make weight. I mean, I was totally out of shape, bro. And, and it was a fight I knew I was going to lose. I've never had a fight I knew I was going to lose, but I was like, if I'm in shape, I have a chance. Out of shape, I'm going to lose. It's a fact. And he choked me out. But that's my boy, though. I like John.
So your dealings with, man, I hate to say this. For instance, you keep surrounding yourself with heavy partiers. Baroni, probably not the best influence. I mean, you'd mentioned Tompkins was a big partier. Junie Browning's a big partier. Was that kind of your social circle at this point?
I mean, at the end of the day, bro, MMA fighters are psychopaths. And, I mean, there's some squares in the business, but most all MMA fighters are using drugs, partying, out of control. That's the lifestyle, bro. It's a lifestyle, just in sin, bro. Sin. Drugs, alcohol, pride, lust, banging girls. That's the lifestyle. That's how it is. And, the problem wasn't the people I was surrounded with. The problem was me. I was the problem, you know what I mean? Because there's plenty of other guys. John Alessio is a cop now. He's a cop. So, I mean, he was hanging out in Vegas. He was hanging out with Tompkins and all of us, and he's a cop. I'm in jail. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it was my own sin to put me here. But, I mean, the lifestyle is not conducive to good behavior, bro. It's a wild lifestyle.
You also meet Ed Radcliffe right around this time.
No, he was my Lions Den homeboy. That's my Lions Den teammate.
So you knew him all the way from back in the day? Because I see, he started helping you out right around this time. Oh, wow. No,
so Ed Radcliffe, he was with me in the Den. Then he was with me at Undisputed. And then when I fought Roger Huerta, he was my striking coach for that fight.
What about Brad Kohler?
Brad Kohler?
Is it Charlie Kohler?
Charlie Kohler. Charlie Kohler.
My fault. Charlie Kohler. Yeah.
Charlie Kohler, I trained with him a couple times, but he was never my coach. But I went to his gym in San Diego, and I trained with him. He's cool. He's a cool dude. Yeah,
Christian Vargas.
That was my student. That was my student, and then my teammate. That's my buddy, man. I helped train him when he was a new guy. We were training partners, but then he kind of just disappeared.
Yeah, Miguel Reyes.
Miguel Reyes was our kickboxing coach from Tijuana. I trained with him a few times. Not a whole lot, though.
Yeah, you also had a canceled fight with Gideon Ray October 15th, 2011. Was it because of injury, or did you have to go to jail?
For Gideon Ray?
Yeah, it was October 15th, 2011. Gideon Ray's a former Ultimate Fighter veteran as well.
The black dude, right?
You have 1 minute remaining.
I don't remember. I don't remember that. I think instead of fighting him, I think I fought Roger Huerta, didn't I? I don't know.
Oh, that was like about a little month after. I think when I was gonna fight him and I canceled. I fought Huerta instead. Smart move. Yeah, good move. Bigger pay.
You want me to call you back?
Man, run it, bro. Come on, man. Let's get this.
All right. Yo.
All right, my man. So Wade Shipp, you guys had a really good friendship, huh?
That's my boy. I still talk to him. That's my boy right there. He cornered me a lot of times. I cornered him a lot of times. That's my good friend.
How has it been with the people that you were close with since obviously the incident happened? I mean, do you get in-person visits still from your friends?
For my wife, only my wife.
Yeah,
only my wife. So far, just my wife, really.
On The Ultimate Fighter, you had mentioned a really strained relationship with your mom. Have you guys been able to reconcile?
Bro, my mom died in like 2017, bro. She overdosed.
Yeah, were you guys ever able to reconnect?
Well, so whenever I got saved in 2014. At the December 14, I got saved. So in 2015, I was able to call her and kind of like, I forgave her and we talked. But she was so jacked up on pills and stuff, you could hardly talk to her, man. And then 2 years later, she was dead. But at least like, I got to forgive her and we got to reconcile as much as we could, man. But yeah, it was all bad for my mom, man. Those drugs got her.
Oh. Dude, addiction, man, it's never easy. And it's like you're in a cloud. You don't even understand you're in it. Addiction is so difficult.
Yeah, it's bad, man.
Yeah, not easy. Yeah. You said Ed Radcliffe was your striking coach for Roger Huerta. How does that fight come along?
Dude, so Roger Huerta, he tried to okey doke me, bro. So what happened was I was in jail for a year straight, a whole year. He was in Thailand for a whole year, training, and he wants to go to welterweight. So he handpicks his opponent, me, because he wants someone with a name who looks the part, who he thinks he could beat. And he's like, oh, Machine just got out of jail. I got out of jail, bro, like literally like 3 weeks before this dude called me. And we're talking on Skype, and I said, Roger, bro, I just got out of jail, bro. I'm like, you're the hardest opponent I'll ever fight in my life. I said, I was in jail for a year. You were in Thailand for a year. And he's like, oh, come on, bro, and, whatever. I said, all right, I took the fight. And for me, I thought it was a good matchup because he's too small for me. He fights the same way I do, which we just come forward, and I'm the bigger, stronger guy. So I think I could beat him, but my problem is I don't think if I can get in good enough shape in time. But, as it happened, I won, So, bad pick for him.
Yeah, it was in the third round. Roger gets a rib injury. He's 21-5-1, and one of the sport's hottest names. And you get a win over him right out of prison.
Yeah. So that was a good win for me, bro. And I got lucky he got hurt, because if you watch the fight, I don't care who you are, I'm winning the fight. I won the first round and I won the second round. And on the scorecards, because it was his hometown, I was losing on every scorecard. So if we would have went to the decision, I would have got robbed. So I'm glad he got hurt, because otherwise I would have got robbed.
So Sam Kaplan is the matchmaker for Bellator at this time, and you obviously signed a contract with them. On your Vice documentary, he seemed like real hesitant about you as a person. Even at that time, he claims. How would you describe your relationship with him?
I mean, he better be hesitant, because I was a freaking maniac and I was an idiot. So, I mean, he should be hesitant. But Bjorn Rebney, he liked me. And Bjorn Rebney, is a little bit of a maniac himself. So, he's a big, he knew I was marketable. So he wanted me. So me and Sam got along fine. But I'm sure he had reservations, because I was a loose cannon, you know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you come into Bellator June 19th, 2013. There's like a 2-year layoff right there after Huerta.
Well, because I went to jail freaking.
Did you go
I went
back?
to jail for one of those years. I went to jail twice in a row for old stuff. I went to jail for a year, came out for a few months, fought Huerta, and then I had to go to jail for another year in Vegas for something else I did even earlier. So it was like these old bar fights were catching up to me.
Oh.
It wasn't even a new offense. It was something even older that came back and got me in the butt.
Yeah, Blasavina is your opponent. You stopped him in the first round.
And he killed himself. He killed himself in like 2015.
Man, there's so many tragic stories in MMA. There really is.
And you want to know why? And this is why I got fired from the UFC. Because when Evan Tanner died, which I think he killed himself, that's my opinion. When he died, I said that expect more of this. Expect more suicides and more tragedy, because you spend your life fighting, and once you're done, you got nothing. And what's the option left is to kill yourself, because it's just the way it is, bro. Why do you think all celebrities in the world overdosed and killed themselves? Elvis and Lisa Marie and Michael Jackson, because the Bible says that God put eternity into the heart of man. And we're looking for something eternal, and we're trying to fill that hole with a belt, with chicks, with drugs and money and success, and whatever. And when you have tried everything in the world and you're still empty inside, all that's left is self-destruction. Because they need Jesus. But they don't think about that. They don't consider that. So they self-destruct. And that's what happens to fighters and musicians and everyone else. It is what it is.
Wow.
And now I'm in prison with a life sentence. And for the first time in my life, I have peace in my heart. For the first time in life, I'm content when I have nothing. Why? Because now I got Jesus there. But before, when I was on the street, I was suicidal. I wanted to kill myself. I was on TV. I had my own business. I was banging all the hottest chicks in the world, and I wanted to kill myself. And now I'm in here with nothing, and I'm as happy as could be. That's because Jesus is real. That's it, bro.
Wow. So when did you have your moment of conversion?
Well, I was sitting in my cell in December 2014, and I was trying to figure out a way that I could get revenge upon my victims. I wasn't feeling bad. I wasn't being weak. I was trying to find a way to get revenge, period, bro. And it just so happened that I was in a hole, and in the hole, if you don't get a book, you only count 5 days a week where you come out for 1 hour. On the weekend, you're locked down. So I had no book to read. So I was like, oh, crap, I didn't get a book. But someone had sent me a book in the mail called A Case for a Creator, some stupid God book. I didn't want to read it. I threw it under my bunk. So it's the only book in my cell, so I pulled it out, and I said, what's this crap? And I see that it's not talking about, like, Jesus, because I hated Jesus. It was talking about just creation versus evolution. I said, oh, I was a biology major in college. Like, that's interesting to me. I read it in 24 hours, and it convinced me that there is a God, and he made everything. Just coincidentally, my neighbor had the companion book called A Case for Christ. So I said, hey, bro, let me see what that book says, because I know Jesus is fake. I know that crap is fake. So he gives me the book. I read it in 24 hours, and I was on my knees, bro. And I said, Jesus, if you're real, I don't know how I could ever be a Christian, but if you're real, I'm going to follow you. And on that day, I prayed for Christy. I prayed for Corey. My revenge was gone, and I put my foot on the path of Christ, and that was it. I never looked back. And ever since then, that's it. I'm on a different path, and I'm different. I can't explain it. It's a miracle.
Okay, here, let me give you a little pushback. Since then, how many fights have you been in? How many jail tickets have you have you gotten?
I've been down 11 years, and I have 0 write-ups and 0 fights.
Holy shit, dude.
But not. This is the wisdom of God. My first 3 years in prison, I was in the hole because the prison thought either I was going to hurt someone or I would get killed. So for 3 years, they wouldn't let me out of the hole. And God was wise because I was not ready, bro. Sanctification is a process where you grow in strength. If I would have been on the tier that first 3 years, I would have gotten in the fight. It took 3 years for me to be prepared. And then once I was on the tier and I had my first altercation and I walked away for the first time in my life and I cried like a girl and I called my wife. She's my girlfriend then, and I cried. She said, why are you crying? I said, because I've never walked away before. And my pride died. And once my pride died, after that day, I became invincible. Now, bro, I don't care, bro. Because I said this. I don't care if the whole tier calls me a bitch. If I hit that dude, Christ will call me a bitch. And I'm not letting that happen. I'm not going to betray my Savior, period. That's it. I've resolved in my heart. I'm not fighting. I'm not fighting back. I don't care, bro. I'm not doing that. And that's it.
Wow. You know, we had talked about setting the rules for this. We don't talk about your case, and we don't talk about things that could upset your living situation.
Well, you know what? But like I told you, bro, ask me whatever you want, and all I can do is say I'm not going to answer it. I don't really care what you ask. I'll answer what I want to answer. That's it. I'm not. I'm cool.
I gotta say, for people at home, when you come in with a high profile and a background like War Machine has, sometimes groups will send somebody at him just like as a hazing ritual, and with 0 write-ups, 0 time in the hole. Man, that's very, very impressive. Yeah.
I mean, what it is there's evidence that Jesus is real because I'm a maniac, bro. I'll hurt someone. I'll smash. Hey, prison guys aren't tough, bro. I fought in the UFC. I know what I am. I'll smash everybody and the COs. And I don't do that because I don't want to do that. I'm legitimately different. It's not even in my bones no more, bro. I'm a different person, and I can't even explain it. It's not like I got punched in the face one time. One time, it was 2 years ago. Somebody actually punched me in the face, and I didn't want to hit him back and resist. For years, I thought, okay, if someone hits me, I'm going to resist. I'm going to walk away, and I'm imagining resisting the urge to hit him back. When someone finally punched me, I didn't have an urge, bro. There was not. I didn't resist. It was like a miracle. I just didn't want to hit him back. It's like my feelings were hurt. but I had no anger, no animosity. It was the craziest thing. It's just not me. I'm different. That's it.
Your entry in the Bellator was impressive. You got a first-round knockout against Blasovina. Your second fight is Vaughn Anderson. You also finish him in the second round with a rear-naked choke.
You have 1 minute remaining.
It was at Bellator 100.
You want me to call you back?
Dude, man, I'll fucking take your phone call all day. You kidding me?
Because I think it's better when he's trying to knock it out, huh?
Dude, it's fucking great, dude. You kidding me? Dude,
right.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
Speak some real shit, bro.
Yeah.
All right, so Bellator 100, one of the marquee events for the organization. You fought Vaughn Anderson. Pretty big deal.
Yeah. I mean, I had never heard of him, but he had a really good record. I think he used to fight in China or somewhere. I don't know where he used to fight.
Did you like your time at Bellator?
Yeah, Bellator was cool. I like Bellator.
Were you one of those guys that were just kind of biding your time to get back to the UFC, or were you happy there?
I mean, I was happy there. I think we always want to get back to the UFC because the UFC is the UFC, and it's just a pride thing, you know. I mean, even it's so weird. The pride of a fighter is so strong that even if the UFC paid you less, you'd want to fight in the UFC just because it's a status thing. It's the UFC, you know. That's where you want to be, you know.
I got to ask you this, and if I don't ask you this, my audience is going to be pissed. It's a pretty funny question. So we had Tony Galindo on, and Tony is an absolute madman, as we both agreed on. Tony said the issue between War Machine and I is he went into my room and stole my penis pump. He literally said that in our interview.
Yeah, Tony Galindo is he's like an evil genius, right? So Tony Galindo knows he's like a con artist. He wants to make himself relevant, you know. So he wants to say things that would stand out and be funny. But I mean, I definitely did not steal his penis pump. And you know what I mean? You know, he's full of crap. The real reason why he ever got mad at me was because of a steroid deal. He was mad because he taught me how to smuggle steroids, and then I was basically doing my own business, so he got mad. You know what I mean? And you know, I mean that's just dumb. Well, what the hell I want to steal his penis pump for? You know what I mean? But Tony Galindo's just he's funny, bro. But you know, that's about it.
Is what it is. Yeah. All right. So in our interview, he also mentioned a time where you called him up really early in the morning because Ken was having an overdose, and that you were asking Tony and Vernon White to come over.
Well, you know, there's a lot of people in our sport that like to write books and like to sensationalize stories and betray people's trust, to betray people's secrets. But, you know, I'm not one of them, you know. So, you know, people might say a lot of things about me and a lot of things about other people. But as far as I'm concerned, you know, whatever problems Ken may or may not have had, or even Tony or anyone else, you know, that's for them to speak about. And I don't know what Ken has said and hasn't said. And you know, I don't want to talk about those kind of things because that's Ken's business. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
You know,
that's cool.
You know, but that's what I mean about Tony Galindo was that when I was a new guy, Tony beat me up. But then when I became good and I came back and trained with him, it was the opposite. And he never made it big. He had his little King of the Cage days, but he never made it big. So the way that he wants to be relevant is to make up stories about other guys. So, you know, like penis pump story about me. He wants to tell, oh, Ken overdosed on this. So, you know, he has nothing to talk about, you know, about his own career. So he wants to be relevant by spreading gossip and rumors and betraying people's trust. And that's not cool, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you ever work out with Ashe Bowman?
Ashe Bowman?
Yeah. Before
I'm not sure. It doesn't ring a bell. I don't think so.
Yeah, he was probably before you. He was a Lionshead another Texas guy.
Oh, no, yeah. No, I never met him.
All right, October 18th, 2013, Bellator 104. Ron Keslar is your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time you hit a roadblock since getting out of jail.
Yeah, so you know what, man, that was like I lost that fight on pride and pride alone, because that dude took my back and he had me in a figure four, and like, bro, when it's almost impossible to get out of a figure four from the back. It's almost impossible. It's like 99% impossible.
Yeah, it's a stall.
Exactly. So the thing about me is that from training with Baret, my choke defense is so ill, he never would have choked me. So what happened was, when he had my back in the figure four, I knew I couldn't get out. And I knew I needed to just wait till the end of the round and start back at round two and start fighting again. But the crowd started booing. And when the crowd started booing, my pride got inflamed, and I tried to force the action, and I did what I knew I shouldn't have done, and I got choked for it. And that was just my pride. It was a stupid, dumb mistake. I should have just wrote it out, and I would have been fine. But, Keslar got that, you know.
There was a rumor that you herniated a disc shortly after this fight as well.
I did herniate a disc. I did.
Does it happen in practice, or is that in
Well, the truth is, it happened training. I herniated a disc, but I didn't have health insurance, and I didn't have. So I did like a fake car accident, and like some fraud, and I made a false police report, and I hurt my disc in a car accident. But really, the truth was, I did it in the gym.
So, was the car accident like self-reported?
Oh, I mean, I caused the accident. I mean, I got a rental car, and I found some young kid that was speeding, and I got in front of him and I hit the brakes, and I made him hit me. It was a stupid thing. It was, but that's how I was. I was an idiot. So and then I had to, that's how I finagled it. But yeah, that's true. I was a dirtbag. That's how it was.
Dude, like, I'm not one to cast judgment on anybody, but I sincerely hope that things work in your favor. Like, I really do. And when you get out, I sincerely hope that you continue going down this path.
What I know is that I'm never leaving the path of Christ, because I have nowhere else to go. I've tried every joy in the world, and it was all worthless, and I'm following Christ till I die. Now, I hope I get out, especially because I have a beautiful wife and a beautiful son, and I want to be out most of all for them, and I want to be out to prove to the world that God is real and He does have the power to change, because I'm going to be the same that I have been for the last 10 years in here, out there, and I want to show the world that. So for the sake of my wife and my son, I want to be out. I want to glorify God. And, I know God can get me out, but I know that the prosperity gospel is a lie, and Joel Osteen and those guys are all liars, and there ain't no guarantees, bro. I might die in prison. But if God wills it, He'll get me out, and I hope He does, man, because I want to go out there. I definitely want to go out there.
If you had a message for your former training partners and teammates, what would it be?
Well, most of them have abandoned me and don't talk to me. And what I would tell them is that I love them. I don't hold it against them. And I know that every year that passes without being in contact with me, they get more shame for not having contacted me, and it makes them run farther from me. And I would want them all to know that I love them. I hold nothing against them, that I would love to hear their voices, and that I pray that they will all be saved, because they all know I was a psychopath. They all know I hated Jesus, and I never would have came to Jesus ever in a million years. I hated Him. But the fact is, He's real. And I hope they see the change in me. And to the few who have stayed by my side, like Ken Pavia and Frank Lester and Wade Shipp and my friend Suhail, there's only been a few guys that stayed by my side. And I appreciate them and I love them. But everyone else that has abandoned me, I don't hold it against you guys, man. I love you guys. And I hope I hope one day you'll answer your phone. I hope one day you'll write me. I hope you do, man. I love you guys.
What about for your fans? You know, the people that
my fans, like, I appreciate that they like me as a fighter because I was tougher and I was funny or whatever. But at the same time, I want them to learn from my mistakes. I once got a letter from a fan, and he said he caught his girlfriend cheating. And he said, it happened a year after you did. He says, if it wasn't for your case, I would be in prison right now. But when I walked in and I saw the guy in my bed, I thought about you, and I walked away. And I want everyone to do that on a bigger scale. I want all my friends and fans to realize that whether or not we commit a crime, we've sinned, and that a judgment is coming. And I have a shadow of that judgment. And I hope that all of them out there will repent and follow Jesus and avoid hell and avoid this place. That's what I want for them, for real.
War Machine, I got to tell you, I mean, just so to kind of set the record straight, the only thing that War Machine asked for me to perform this interview was just to help him with a gift for his kid. All of this that he's given us, all of the little insight, view into his life, back then as well as today, was done completely unsolicited as well, and it's just out of goodwill. Man, War Machine, I sincerely appreciate our time together, man.
All right, thank you, buddy, and I appreciate you for helping out, man, and I hope your interview does well, man. I hope people enjoy it.
All right, so I'm going to send you a real quick email, War Machine, and then
all right,
just some other stuff, and I greatly appreciate it, man. Thank you for your time.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later.
Take care. Yeah.
All right, if you're hearing this, you just got done listening to the MMA Detectives one-on-one interview with War Machine. I just heard it myself. So I got a question for Mike out of the gate. I never liked War Machine very much. I have a silver medal from the finals of a white belt tournament thanks to that guy, and I want a rematch. I'm actually donating to his legal defense fund because the only way I get my rematch is if he sees the light of day. But that aside, you actually made him look like a human being, like a likable guy. So my question is, do you have a talent for making monsters look human, or are you just picking the right monsters?
No. So yeah, that's actually a really, you can sit here and say Tori, you can say War Machine, but it also includes Hermes Franca in that category, in that realm. So the key is you got to have a conversation ahead of time. And, truth be told, when I was working corrections and doing investigations over there, I had lots and lots of conversations with actual monsters where kind of that feeling out period where you're gonna like have that animosity and look at them like you want to, just hurt them. That goes away. That goes away. But the only way that happens is with the repetitiveness of having to deal with them. So I think it's all in the approach, and it's immediate. Like they sense it right away as well. Like Tori sensed it immediately, and same with War Machine, because it's just that initial kind of that feeling out period of the conversation. So no, every guy, like if you kind of like look at like what it is that you and I are doing, oftentimes in the comments are like, great show. And not every guest can be great, but I think by you and I, how we massage the conversations and where we know where like the gold is and how we move. I think you and I constantly move the goal line in order to cross it. And because of that, we make good guests. So no, I think it's kind of all in the process. And also like our process, it takes our personal feelings and opinion out of it.
As much as possible.
Yeah. It really does. Like you and I can kind of go back and forth on it. And oftentimes we'll have a little bit of banter, but the core process of our interview, it really subtracts you and I, other than pushing it along and having like a good, hey, let's kind of elevate the mood a little bit.
Right. It was him talking 80%. That's the general formula for us.
Yeah.
We want them talking 80%.
Yeah. Like if you can do, and this is for any podcaster out there, if you can do like a 70-30 mix, like where you talk 30% of the time, they talk 70% of the time, it's going to be a good podcast.
Right.
And, we try to go about 75, 25, 80, 20. And essentially you and I are just kind of moving along. And then like, if you and I kind of like in our prep, like, oh no, man, there's some really good stuff right here. We'll just kind of massage it over that way. So it's lighthearted.
Yeah.
Get them in and then continue on our journey. So we got to refine it. And also like the database really helps too, because we already know what's coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a good interview, and it's a really interesting time of MMA history. Like he rode the wave of the TUF explosion, from the sport really not being a sport at all to going mainstream. Like he was there during that time, and he's a crazy character. So of course it was interesting.
And the only thing, like when I first off, dude, I got like a lot of inmate like feelers out there. Yeah. Cameron Earl, trying to get him. It's going to be a hard get. I'm going to put something in the mail to him probably like Tuesday. Yeah. Like if we're going to get Cameron Earl, it's probably either going to be towards the end of the year or beginning of next year. Joe San, Alexi Vila. Alexi Vila doesn't speak any English, but my Spanish, like, well, I don't know if I want to do it.
It's going to be a very niche episode for our Spanish speakers.
Yeah, I mean, I can translate and stuff like that. And I mean, I'll speak Spanish with them. But like on another thing too, though, like to me, it's really important to have you a part of the interviews as well. So it's like, it's kind of a catch-22 because if it's a 3-way phone call, they get stripped of their privileges to get phone calls for like 30 days.
Yeah, that's not worth it on their end.
No. And on top of that, like, you'll notice, like, I prefer having you on there because it's like you're a smooth transition, you're easy, you have good conversational pushes, you're a good second. So like I'm a good lead, you're a good second. And like right now, like what you're kind of pushing forward right now with like your voiceovers and the way you structure the trivia questions on Instagram, like you're doing really, really good work. And it's like when you do your trivia questions, it's like a 35 to 45 second question, but those aren't one take things that you're doing.
Right. Yeah. I enjoy the stuff. I like the voiceover stuff. The trivia is fun. I'm not at 1 million Instagram followers yet, but that's all right. That's not the purpose for this.
No. And like, if we only interviewed guys we liked.
Yeah. It'd just be Todd Medina and Sam Alvey.
Yeah, I mean, really,
if you want the real, like the Boy Scouts, the list of Boy Scouts is pretty short in this world.
No. And I mean, I'm really comfortable getting into like that penal system because I worked there for so long.
Right.
So like that type of kind of give and take, I'm more than comfortable there. And to be honest with you, I kind of like it. I'm not saying I like the people, right, but it's stories that like you hear about, but you don't hear it from them. You just kind of hear it from people that kind of know them or are guessing in regards to what the responses are. So this is something I've wanted to do for a while, and we've talked about it. And, Tori pushed it through. Like I used to, like Andy Anderson is probably going to record this weekend. But I also don't want to do a bunch in a row like that. Like we got to space them out. Otherwise it becomes too repetitive.
Yeah. But Andy Anderson's, he's one we've been wanting for a long time. That is a character outside of the ring too.
Here's the issue with him. There's no video there. And there's also no email where he's at. So we're going to have to like put a filter on some like UFC footage and, let's hope they don't flag it while his interview goes. As well as, get these things in a can is pretty exhausting. Like I want to do like a felony February, and we still might do it. But I think the overwhelming majority of the felons that we interview are going to be out of jail rather than in it.
Right. Tori did good. Tori did better numbers than a regular interview. So obviously you're onto something with doing these, but yeah, we don't want the channel to just be felon after felon.
No, we got to have like a palate cleanse, like Andy Main, that's, coming up. after this, and Ron Waterman. That was like perfect.
Yeah. Sorry, he's on the list of Boy Scouts too.
Dude, we must on there to have him on again. Hey, Ron, we had another one, dude. Please, just come on in
bring the Holy Spirit back to the show. Burn some sage.
Yeah, right. But I don't know. I think we're putting out really good content right now. I travel a lot and I see a lot of different people because, I work for BKFC. So my belief is that our pro, and I hate to sound like a douchebag like this, but I believe our profile is being elevated right now. Yeah. And guys like Tori and War Machine, Mark Coleman, you kind of see that when you dig through our catalog, but like Tori and War Machine, those are like impossible gets.
Oh yeah.
So like I truly believe our profile is raising, and we've got a couple things in the works right now. If they work out, I think by this time next year we'll be making a little bit of money.
Yeah, no, I hope so. I'm just happy to be part of the team.
And that's what I'm saying, man. Like, but
it's
that's
a really fun passion project.
Yeah, and it's like if we were just to do this for clout, we would have like a different kind of structure and, hey, Joey, we're going to drop this in here. And then, when we cut it, I'll have my face like this. And, that's just not what this is. It's
Andy Campbell making those clips for us. That's some stuff we should have been doing years ago.
From the beginning.
Thank God he's on the team now. But
yeah,
I was thinking the early interviews with Miguel, we don't have those on video anymore. That's a good enough reason to revisit some of those guests, the ones that are gettable.
In our process, it's the same, but it's different. Like
we follow it now.
Yeah. I mean, truth be told, Miguel did not like I addressed it in a different. What close was it? It was after Josh Neer. I don't know. Whoever was directly after Josh Neer's is where we kind of addressed it, but he didn't like the structure. And right. I mean, to each his own. Like maybe this isn't everybody's cup of tea, but it's kind of like the structure when I interviewed criminals. This is the structure we used. Like when I sat across from somebody that I wanted information from and they didn't want to talk to me, dangle a little bit here, you dangle a little bit there, and then you get it rolling. And I think the proper thing would be to like what we did with Jeremy Horn.
Yeah.
And Oleg Taktarov. Like guys like Dennis Hallman, guys like Jeff Monson.
Well, the two of them, I want the two of them together. That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Outside of the ring stuff, the wars they had with each other, that would make good content.
Yeah. I think we kind of owe it to the game to revisit those. And even if it means we sit on it and kind of back catalog it for like a week that we're struggling to get a drop or something like that.
Right.
I mean, the research is done. We just got to kind of follow the format, really.
It'd be less work for you, and it'd make for good episodes. Some of them.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about roundtables. I think we're going to shoot for one roundtable a month for like a Thursday drop.
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing some of the ideas that you got?
Some of the ideas we'd have is we'll pick a fight card. Say the fight card when King of the Cage went to South Africa. Mike the Rhino Bjork, he fought against Ken Shamrock. We could pull a couple of fighters from the cards, maybe somebody from the promotion side, and have 4 or 5 voices just talking about that day in MMA, what it was like to travel to that area to do that show. And we could do that with different aspects of MMA, just get different perspectives.
The Yama pit.
Yama would be a great one. Martial arts reality super fights. Yes. Get Tom Erickson and Bustamante. Maybe Taktarov was on that. That would be a great episode.
We can do an IFL Condors reunion.
Yeah.
Dude, that's for us. That's for us, dude.
That organization, they had some really big goals and they fell short, but they were really trying to do something revolutionary.
The first time I ever got paid to do media was for the IFL.
Really?
Yeah. So I got a buddy, Damon Ranger. He was doing Fearless Radio. So this is like before podcasting. And he was doing like the local music scene here in Chicago. And they were like, man, we need more content. We need more content. So he's like, well, I got a buddy that can probably do a show, which I did. Like I was doing a weekly show where I would go to the studio and cut it. And I had Coleman on, I had Clay Guida on, Bart Palazuski in studio. Like I was kind of, it was a loose format for what it is we're doing here. I think this is before I got on the police department.
Really?
It definitely was nowhere near the format that we are. It was very, very loose. I guarantee it was before I got on the police department, for sure. Before I got on the Cook County Sheriff's Department. So
you got a history in broadcasting.
So anyway, they were coming to Comic-Con here in Chicago. It was the owners of Comic-Con or C2E2, I think. One of those, whatever the comic book thing is, the owners of that owned the IFL. And I made some phone calls, got in, interviewed a bunch of people, and then they paid me for 3 or 4 subsequent shows to come and do media for them. And I never got paid a penny, but the guys that own Fearless Radio, I think they took everything. I think they charged a couple grand and I got nothing. I got like $50,
right.
Like nothing.
So resume builder.
Yeah. For what?
Right.
We're kind of doing what we want to do anyway. But Joey, I think we're heading into the new year. We're going to try to get Ronald John.
Yeah.
Andy Anderson, dude, Heath Herring. I've been trying to get this guy for 2 years. He's doing IT right now. He's got like a big corporate job where he's probably making like $1.50 a year. And he's just like, man, I got to let sleeping dogs lie. He's like, that part of my life. Yeah, I know. So we got John, we got Andy Anderson. I think Jimmy Hettis we might grab. He's like a 6-fight UFC veteran. I'd also like to visit like the Herb Dean championship fights once he owes you a favor, like some of his title fights.
Next time I watch the dog forum, I'll dangle that.
I think we kind of owe that, and I don't know. I think those are like the next 3 or 4 we're looking at. I just texted Keith Hackney again. I'm gonna call him blocked tomorrow. I'm gonna call him blocked.
He was supposed to be guest number 1 for this podcast.
Yeah.
So what has it been? 5 years you've been chasing him?
Yeah. I'm not, dude.
You're not bugging him enough. You need to get in a position where he just goes, I'll just give this guy an hour so I never have to talk to him again.
Dude, I think he'll block me if I do it more. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Well, then I just start making the calls. Hickson responded to me. Hickson responded. He said, after the holidays, we'll revisit it. He didn't say we'll do it. He said, we'll revisit it, which means he'll say no again after the holidays.
Well, I don't know if you guys are aware, I got in a little bit of a skirmish at the last BKFC.
That's right.
So, in terms of like Hickson rules, I'm 1-0 in BKFC.
The MMA detective is 1-0 at BKFC. Yep. That is true.
It's true.
Yeah. It didn't go to decision either.
Finished, dude. Finished. And I'm going to tell you this right now, any issues I have with the audience, because I do security. I do like a million things for them, but oftentimes during the event, I don't get in many arguments. But if somebody's acting like an asshole, I certainly like insert myself into the situation. I'm keeping a running tally. I think I can probably get at least 12 wins a year. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Especially if they're serving alcohol at the weigh-ins. If they serve alcohol at the weigh-ins, you'll pump those numbers up.
Dude, I had one in like New Jersey a couple months ago where the guy was clearly batshit crazy, where I was leaning into the fight. Right. And he was an absolute gangster until like I touched his arm trying to like, hey, maybe we can kind of figure this out. And then he turned state witness and wanted to file a complaint against me. So, and that was my thing. So I'm like, you're talking all this crazy shit. I touch your arm and now you want to file a complaint on me?
That's assault. You touched him.
Oh, you turn state witness. Okay. Yeah. So I'll say that's 2-0, but we'll say that's a non-sanctioned event because it was before this last skirmish. So yeah, no, we're gonna keep running Cali, dude. I'm 1-0 right now.
Nice. See, what else we got coming up? We have another one of our mini documentaries dropping in a few weeks. This one's about Pat Smith, so we need your support on that. Like it, share it, push the hype button. If your YouTube account has that option, hit the
my mom
button.
does. My mom hypes us.
So, yes, so my stepmom does. My wife does. Yeah. So we need all the help we can get. We want to beat our Harold Howard numbers.
All right, Joey, just so you know, when I look at our numbers with like gender and age and demographic and stuff like that, I think your mother-in-law, my mom, and maybe your wife, I think those are like the 3 women that listen.
Yeah.
And it's counted because they're hyping the video. I don't think there's anybody else. I don't think that's it.
My wife watches some of this because she wants to know if this is really what we're talking about. You know, we're not like judging a wet t-shirt contest via Skype or something. They can't really still be talking about retired fighters still. They can't be doing that.
There's no way. Yeah. So, I mean, dude, we're cranking these bad boys out, dude.
Yep.
I'll tell you, we start doing these roundtables. It'd be nice if I could quit the security job I'm working right now. It'd be nice.
It would.
But I don't know if that's, I mean, in theory, it's supposed to happen next year. So we'll see. Oh, dude, another really good short film idea is Richard Hamilton. That is a good one. That is a good one. Who else has got Richard Hamilton content other than us?
Yeah, just is he still with us? Or did he pass away?
Okay, so I don't know. So I went to the Arizona prison thing. He's not locked up right now, but I mean, he should be out based on like the crimes that he definitely committed. But like his UFC footage that we could pull is really interesting.
That's right. Listen, he managed Coleman, Fry, and Kerr, right?
And Severn. And everybody met him through Dan Severn.
He ended up just being a super shady guy. And by the way, you're in witness protection. That's how obscure MMA was at the time. You could be in witness protection and not blow your cover being on their pay-per-views.
My brother Jimmy told me something really funny. He goes, what we ought to do is do a GoFundMe. And he was just like, no, dude, we don't tell anybody. We just tell your audience, we're going to do a GoFundMe. Trust us. Donate to it. And like, we really push it hard. And we get Chris Hansen, to catch a predator.
Yeah.
And we get a house. And then we pay Dan Severn his appearance fee.
Yeah.
And have him go through the questions that we had for Freddie Rodriguez. And ask you, hey, Dan, have a seat over here, you know? And I'm like, he's like, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. Just you and Joey really push it. Your audience will be into it. They just can't know about it. So,
Dan Severn's appearance fee's like $500. Like that's
what I'm saying, dude. It cost us more it'd probably be cheaper to fly Severn to where Chris Hansen lives and Chris Hansen to like Michigan.
Yeah, that's true.
He's like, only your audience would get it, but fuck, would it be good? And I'm like, yeah.
After that interview, there's no way we're never getting Severn on this show after.
I've seen him twice. I've seen him twice. Yeah, I've seen him twice. Like one at the Olympia. I think both times at the Olympia, and he definitely knew who I was. Like he looked at me, like I saw the look of like he was mad, but it wasn't mad enough to say anything. But he everything in me, because I was like, my booth was right across from his. There's no doubt he saw it. Like there was no question. He like did the math in his head and knew exactly like what the equation equaled immediately upon seeing me. Yeah.
We did a whole episode about how cheap you are. And by the way, that I can confirm. When he would fight in King of the Cage, he wouldn't bring a corner man with him because he wanted the money. Don't give me another plane ticket. Give me the extra $300. He would show up at King of the Cage and grab Larry, who didn't really know him. Larry would corner him at King of the Cage because it was a way for him to save $300.
Interesting guy.
Yeah.
Interesting
Very
guy.
interesting. Hey, you know what? He did a lot for the reputation of high school wrestlers. And I was a high school wrestler when he hit the scene. Yeah. We weren't respected as a martial art until he started doing suplexes. And
you're right.
All of a sudden, the football players didn't want to fight us anymore.
You know what? You're right. I agree with that. So our year-end wrap-up, I think we invite Brian McLaughlin back on.
He's earned it.
I mean, he's given us next week's interviews with Andy Main, phenomenal listen. It's really good. And he's come through, and I think he's going to come through with a couple other guys. He's like, man, I just want to get a couple other guys on that don't get enough credit. And I'm like, well, it's kind of like where we cut our teeth, essentially what we did for California. If you want to do for the East Coast, cool.
Yeah. Dude, 100%. We need all the help we can get.
Romy Aram.
Yeah.
We should send him a message too. And dude, Wade Shipp. Wade Shipp was like the guy that Tony Galindo would witness the stealing of the penis pump. I re-listened to the Galindo interview, and he's like, Wade Shipp, I'll tell you. Wade Shipp, he'll vouch for me.
Wade Shipp would be great for a round table, but do you want to do a Romy deep dive? Because I know enough people in common with it. I could probably get him.
I think Romy would be great. I think Wade Shipp would be great. If you look at Wade Shipp's record, he fought some killers, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I respect Wade Shipp. Yeah, and Romy, of course. I mean, they're both super tough guys.
I don't know Wade, but I think I can get Romy. I'll send him a message.
Yeah, I just sent an Instagram message to Wade Shipp. Hopefully he sees it. If not, I got a friend request. Once it gets approved, I'll start commenting on his pictures and stuff like that. We'll get him too. So
we got Jesse Taylor coming up. In theory, we'll see. We're so close.
Jesse Taylor blew me off 6 times and even had me in the waiting room going, yeah, I'll be right there. So,
and they just disappeared.
Just give me another 15 minutes. Give me another 15 minutes. And it was like, well, I've been here 90 minutes, dude. And I never told him to get effed or any of that shit. I think I badmouthed him in a couple of interviews, but I never said anything to him personally. How many times has he blown you off?
Well, one, it was a mistake on our end, but I think twice he's blown us off. And who knows? Maybe he did get that text and he just pretended he didn't get the text. So maybe 3. Maybe he blew us off 3 times.
Okay. So this is going to be our running joke because we're at 9 times of missing with one guy every Monday. And dude, schedule him like everything's cool. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. No, I get it. Just do one of those.
I think he mentioned kids in court at one point. So I don't know what's going on, but he had to back out last minute. I hope he's doing well. Seems like a nice guy.
All right, Joey, this is our close for War Machine. Excellent interview. And dude, we gotta start wrapping up for the year-end stuff. All right, brother.
All right.
Take care.